Hey, Tommy, if I was going to break your balls, I'd tell you to go home and get your shine box. Oh, this kid was great. They used to call him Spit Shine Tommy. I swear to God. Oh, he'd make your shoes look like fucking mirrors. Excuse my language. He was terrific. He was the best. And he made a lot of money, too. Salud, Tommy.
No more shines, Billy.
What?
I said no more shines. Maybe you didn't hear about it. You've been away a long time. They didn't go up there and tell you. I don't shine shoes anymore.
Relax, will you, for crying out? What's got into you? I'm breaking your balls a little bit, that's all. I'm only kidding with you.
Sometimes you don't sound like you're kidding. You know, there's a lot of people around.
I mean, I'm only kidding with you. We're having a party. I mean, I just came home. I haven't seen you in a long time, and I'm breaking your balls, and right away you're getting fucking fresh. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you.
I'm sorry, too. It's okay. No problem.
Okay, salud. Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Motherfucking you fucking piece of shit!
Yeah. Come on.
I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
You're my mission.
Then finish it. Gives them with you to the end of the line.
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to Last Stop on the Hype Train, where guests help me tick off a popular, well-regarded, or award-winning film that has been much delayed on my bucket list, and I find out if it lives up to the hype. So this is a new format for the show. So I've been thinking about watching a lot of these films, or they're popular, and, people like them. And that usually puts me off because you know what I like to watch? Total dog shit films. No, I like my cults. I like my, the off-kilter, the weird, the wacky, the strange, the offensive, the infamous, the poor, terrible, terrible stuff. So I thought, let's flip that. Maybe get some new listeners in. Maybe pull in a few more listeners. But there was so many films. I'm getting on a bit, and I think now is time to watch these films. So I've created this format, and I think with help of the guests, my friends, we're going to slowly go through them and find out whether I was right to leave this later or whether I should have got to it sooner. And who else could I start this new format with than the ball breaker? That is Angry Andy Reviews.
You son of a bitch.
You're breaking my balls. You're breaking my balls. You're breaking my balls. Hey,
I'm going to paraphrase Tommy. You're late watching this. You'd be late for your own fucking funeral.
Our mutual friend Nathan was. I kind of kept this a dirty little secret of mine because I felt like if I told him, he'd be like, "Right, we're gonna have to watch it now," and I'm like, "Do we have to?" I'm like, "It's like, do we really have to?" But it's one of those things where I'll go into the reason why I've decided not to watch it. So again, I tend to avoid these ones that everyone tells me to watch. Oh, you got to see Goodfellas. You got to see Goodfellas. You got to see Goodfellas. After a while, I get a bit sick of it, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking watch it now because you've told me too many times. But if somebody goes, oh yeah, there's this one weird film that's actually all right, I'll go, yes, I'll watch that. That one weird guy told me to watch that one weird film, so I'm definitely going to watch it. So you're not
a man of critical reception, are you?
No, I'm just edgy. That's what it is. I'm just an edge lord, and that's kind of part of it. Sometimes it's, again, if it gets a lot of acclaim. Sometimes if it's very long.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've started them, I've stopped them for whatever reason. I've not included ones where I've turned them off. I've just gone, this is shit, I'm turning it off.
Like the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. I've turned that film off 3 times.
Really? Wow. Well, I never started it, so there's one we could do.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that.
Another reason for me kind of putting this off, the actors involved as well. I didn't, again, people are going, oh, you've got to see all the De Niro's, you've got to see all the Pacino films. And I'm like, nah, I'm more into Dennis Hopper or Jack Nicholson. I'm more into those guys. Like, it was just like, you have to see them all. I'm like, are they really going to be that good? Are they like God's gift to acting? Is this the God's gift to gangster films, you know? And also, I'm a little bit Italian, and I was it's in my blood. This marinara sauce.
Oh, cappuccino, huh?
A little part of me, you know, was worried that it might stereotype Italians and Italian Americans. And
really? You think it would be?
I don't know. It's very low on the list of why I didn't watch. I will say that.
Okay. Right.
Because I'm not that Italian. So my grandmother is half Italian. My dad is a quarter. I guess that makes me what, an eighth, something like that.
I don't know. I don't do math.
Who fucking knows? Tell us in the comments how diluted my blood is.
It's not a pure blood.
You'll never be a pure blood, Frost. But yeah, so those are kind of the reasons I've left it. Again, you know, everyone tells you to do it. It's award-winning. It's well-regarded. Well-reviewed, and that's kind of why I've put it off. But Andy, I want you to tell me why I was wrong to leave it so long. This film. Goodfellas, Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas.
It's hard to say you're wrong because I agree with your sort of reasonings, you know, and it's fair enough because whenever people talk about the greatest films in the world, this film is up there, isn't it? It's always there within that top 10 list.
Easy.
It's always there. And there are some films in that top 10 list that people bandy around that I haven't seen purely because of like, you have to watch it before you die, like Citizen Kane. I have never seen Citizen Kane. Don't want to. I don't like Orson Welles. So there you go. This film, I think this is the one example, I think, for me, of absolute art on screen. This film opened up. This is why I rate it so highly. It's why I love it so much. This film opened my eyes to cinema in terms of it being an art form. So when I was about 16, 17, I was in college in Germany, and I was doing a very, very small populated film studies class with about 7 other people. And our tutor in there was called Mr. Grant. And Mr. Grant, you're an absolute legend. Thank you very much for opening my eyes to critical sort of analysis. It's from him where I've got my sort of love of breaking down movies and talking about movies and, you know, really getting into the nitty gritty. Because there were so few of us in the class, we just got on with whatever work we needed to do to tick the boxes. And then we talked movies and watched movies all the time. And they were like 3.5-hour classes and they were superb. But he put this film on and I hadn't seen it. And beforehand, I wasn't really too sort of like aware of big movies like this. I'd seen The Godfather. Weirdly enough, I think I'd seen parts of Casino. But then viewing this just completely changed my outlook. I understood the appreciation for quality camera work and cinematography. I understood and appreciated the level of depth that actors can go to create like really nuanced scenes and yet be so explosive as well in such, you know, small amounts. And the music grabbed me. The violence obviously grabbed me. I'd seen much more violent films beforehand, but I'd never seen anything that was so brutal in terms of, you know, what it does to individuals and what it does to the story and how it changes the characters within the story. Yeah, it absolutely changed my outlook on movies completely. And from then, it became sort of like a bar, almost an unattainable bar. And I think that's one of the curses with this film. And I'm sure we'll talk a bit later on about like sort of negative impacts, I think. Scorsese, as much as I love The Departed, he's never been able to hit these heights again. And there are a lot of films out there, a lot of imitators that try to attain these levels, and they really shouldn't, because I think this is top tier filmmaking, top tier acting, top tier writing, top tier everything for me.
Yeah, I will say on that list of films I haven't seen, Scorsese does come up a lot. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if maybe it is, again, the Italian mobster thing. But yeah, like we were saying as well, like you were saying, people say it's the greatest film of all time. Again, this particular format, this particular podcast, is about the hype, and sometimes that's too much, and it can affect a film, and it can affect how you view a film from the outside, or anything. And I think sometimes when you're going in, like I've seen The Godfather.
Yeah, there's pressure to enjoy it. I think that's the worry, isn't it? There's pressure to enjoy it, and I think I don't shy away from the fact that this is my most favorite film, even above Empire Strikes Back, and that was shock a few people. But this is my most favorite film. This is the number one film that I will never get tired of. Again, much like Empire Strikes Back, but I'm thinking in terms of just the sheer level of quality throughout. I think this film steals it for me as being the number one film that I have ever seen.
I've got the right person for this one. Then I take it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand where the sort of like the nervousness to sort of open the DVD case and put the disc in the drive and sort of go, right, I'm going to watch it, because like you said, because it is so well regarded, there's a danger that you go into it and you go, this isn't for me. And it can simply be because of the genre. Natalie, my partner's not exactly a mob film genre lover, so she was kind of like, oh, do we have to watch this? But it's kind of like you almost eventually, when it's like trying to learn to swim or ride a bike, eventually you're going to have to dip your toe in or get on that seat and pedal through it and just see whether you come out and go, you know what, I want to carry on pedal cycling, or I want to carry on swimming. I don't like swimming. So, if you don't like the film, then it's not a big one. I'm not sort of going to knock you for, but as long as you've tried it, that's the thing. It's avoiding that elitism, because I think, like you said, a lot of these top tier films, these top 100 films you must watch before you die, some of them are really difficult to sort of get through, and some of them I don't want to. Like I said, Citizen Kane, I don't want to. I just don't want to. If somebody wants to do one of these, like you, and you want to skip through Citizen Kane, then fine, we'll do it, and we'll have open discourse about it. I think that's the thing, is having open discourse where we can sort of say, it wasn't for me, but...
I do have some criticisms, but we'll get to that much later. You told me just before this podcast started, like you've said, it's your favourite film. Like, what is it that Scorsese brings, that the cast, the crew bring to this film that makes it so unique? The writing or whatever it is. What's the je ne sais quoi?
I think it's hard to sort of nail, because there are so many different elements. You've got everybody sort of giving their very best performances. When you look right the way through, you've got Joe Pesci, who is fucking hell. It's an incredible performance. It's absolutely incredible. And before watching this, when he first came on screen, I went, why is the guy from Home Alone in this? And then I was completely shocked that there was the same actor. And then obviously you got Robert De Niro, who his performance is quite sort of measured. There's other performances out there where he is quite extreme. I think Casino, he does more in Casino. I think it's been a while since I've watched Casino, and here he's quite a measured sort of performance. But then you have Ray Liotta, who for me. And it's a shame with Ray Liotta. I don't think he was ever able to sort of match the level of performance that he has in Goodfellas in anything else. So there's a bit of a curse there, if you want to sort of say like a negative there. I think the lightning, this film is a lightning, in a bottle film. And there are so many elements to it that could never be replicated by Scorsese himself. I mean, I enjoy Casino. It's not as good as Goodfellas. I enjoy The Departed. There's some elements towards the end of the end of Goodfellas which track into his other films, whereby maybe it should have ended 10 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier. And because of the runaway success of Goodfellas, he never managed to acknowledge that maybe the film should have ended a little bit earlier than it did going forward, which is his curse. The Departed goes on a lot longer than it should, really, and even like Gangs of New York, just it goes on, and I love all of them, and that's just it. I love all of Scorsese's work, but there are clear flaws.
Would you say it's a much of a muchness is his curse, that he's like, I've got all this and I need to fit it in, and need to find a way? Is it pacing? Do you think it's a pacing thing, or?
Yeah, well, I think it's because his films build up to a resounding crescendo, and that crescendo is so powerful, so strong, that in order the need to finish the story, which has to happen, ultimately just comes away a little bit, because you've already hit that massive high already. There's a few bits that follow on that you go, oh, should we not have just waited a little bit? before, going, this is the awesome bit. But it's to do with, because a lot of his films are based on true to life sort of instances. Obviously, Goodfellas is based on Henry Hill's memoir. So there, he's obviously tracking real life events. So you're obviously going to get something that is so ultraly shocking, and then it trails away into what happens with Henry Hill's life. But it doesn't. You do sort of have that sense of going, that's a bit depressing, isn't it? And it happens with Gangs of New York as well. You have this massive sort of, build up, and then a nothing burger of an ending, and it's really, really sort of jarring.
Is he a bit like Stephen King? You just can't nail the endings.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I really like the ending of Goodfellas because I don't think it drags on in terms of falling away, like I said, like a lot of his other films do later on. Because there is that natural sort of progression to it. You go into, post. We'll go with spoilers, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
Post.
If you haven't seen Goodfellas by now, like me at 34 years of age, then it's your own problem. Sorry, guys.
This is your 5-second warning, really. So post Tommy's death, which again is like I said this before, like this is a film of favorite moments, and Tommy's death, Tommy getting whacked is just, it's fucking spot on, shocking moment. But again, you have that fucking hell shock moment, and then we go into this sort of drugs story, which kind of is sort of a bit like okay, because nobody likes drugs. Nobody likes it.
I mean, only the people taking them do.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Very much, too much, if anything.
Yeah, stop it, you fucking mouths. But yeah, you go into this drug story, and it kind of it's very much a slow thing because it's all about paranoia and who's watching me, who's doing that, wow, and it chugs on a little bit before you get you're going to fucking jail, rat all your friends, and then it ends. So it's only 10-15 minutes, I think, or 20 minutes at most. But yeah, it does sort of like go a bit of a flat ending. But I think it's purely because you see really Utta's sort of character, devolve. Because at the start he's an unsure kid who gets a job, and then he fucking rises to the top, and then you see this fucking clear sort of demise, and then the paranoia involved with everybody. Paulie, with Robert De Niro as well. I just think they probably could have done maybe a little bit more, possibly. I don't really know, but that's me sort of trying to find a criticism, I think.
Well, I was going to say, I do have some. So much like our friend Jack, I am Jack's Musings of Back to the Filmography, Pop Gorilla. He's been on my show. He's been on everything. He is great. I'm going to steal a page out of his book, and I'm going to look at some. I've been looking at Letterboxd reviews, which I will get onto later.
Letterboxd is a bizarre place. It's a weird sort of park, isn't it?
It is, and
riddled with weird sort of things. Not that Jack's weird.
No. But it's a unique perspective in Letterboxd. You get a good range of people, I think, and a good range of reviews.
You do.
When I was looking elsewhere, and it was really hard to kind of collate them because I wanted the lowest. I wanted the people who didn't like it. So I've gone with those low reviews, those 1 star, half a star, 2.5 stars, 2 stars.
It's like Letterboxd is like IMDb without the incels, isn't it? IMDb's become a very dangerous place these days, isn't it?
So anyway. So the controversial topics. We are the common criticisms I found. Now these, again, there's a good range of people. There's some people that are taking the piss. There's some people that are genuinely criticizing the film. Some of the things that were said were Ray Liotta's laugh.
Oh no, I fucking love that laugh.
I like it. I'll be honest, I like it. I think it's unhinged, it's funny, it's weird, but some people found that annoying. Another criticism.
I can see why, because it's loud. It's sharp,
a bit shrill.
The point is with the laugh, I think. Well, let's do it. The point with the laugh, when Tommy's doing that joke at the start of the film. Well, sort of when I say the start of the film, when we talk about, "Am I a fucking clown? Do I amuse you?" The laugh, it's fake, isn't it? They're all laughing. They're all fake laughing because they know Tommy is a fucking maniac, which is why that fucking scene is so brilliant, because he overdoes it. He goes, you're funny, you're funny. Goes, what am I fucking funny? And immediately it's like, oh, fucking hell, we've pushed it too far. Everybody fucking shuts up. Everybody stops laughing. And then when he goes, I fucking had you. You see him? I thought he was going to shit, all this stuff. Then everybody starts laughing again with a fake laugh. And he goes, you're a funny guy, For me, that laugh in that scene is pure fake. It's a fake laugh.
But then,
later on in the film, it's the same kind of sort of shrill, sort of
I like what
overbearing laugh, isn't it?
I like what you're saying though, because he's become that. He's obviously in that kind of lifestyle. You're constantly on edge. Yeah, like you could be whacked any moment. You could, things can happen. So eventually, he's normalized that laugh. That's just his laugh now.
Yeah,
because he's spent so much time potentially with these two very dangerous people specifically that could kill him at any moment if he pisses them off even in the slightest way.
Yeah, making a joke, boost their ego.
Exactly.
Make them know that you think it's funny or it's entertaining.
Yeah, I was saying that with Mike on the Carnage podcast. That he was saying that with Shriek and Carnage himself. Like it's an ego boost, and that's what it is, I think. And because he's so, like you said, all I've ever, the opening is really good, really strong. That's how you open a film.
Yeah, those opening 2.5 minutes fucking set the scene, set the tone, set the acting, set the fucking. The score of the film, the lighting, everything is in those opening 2.5 minutes. The violence, it's all there.
I can't argue with that opening. Like that bit of, obviously, I always, as long as I remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. It's an iconic line.
No, Tommy, no, he's still alive, the fucking prick. He's still alive. Go ahead.
Yeah,
fucking hell.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm going to apologize, guys. I think I've got a bit of a cold because I've got a cough and my nose is running a bit. So if you hear that on the recording,
fucking sniffling, snortling son of a bitch. Spider, that bandage on your foot is bigger than your fucking head.
Go fuck yourself, Tommy. But yeah, I think the opening is very strong, and again, like you said, I think the soundtrack's amazing. I think the soundtrack is fucking.
I've got the soundtrack. It's whenever I'm having a long drive, it'll be like Frank Sinatra, and then I'll stick a bit of Goodfellas on. It's such a good soundtrack.
Yeah, and it goes from like bam bam, like banger to banger to banger to banger.
Yeah,
it's really really solid, and it obviously as time goes on, the music changes with the times as well, which I like. Yeah. Like Rolling Stones comes in, and and all that other stuff, and I really appreciated that and the way they kind of show the progression of time as well, which I thought was really good. And again, it's very slight, like the styles of hair change, the clothing.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff just stays the same. Like it changes, but it doesn't change altogether. It's still the same, but
which
different.
Is poignant when you think about how it all becomes their downfall. Everything around them's changed, and yet they haven't. This is why it all just falls apart in the end. They make mistakes that they wouldn't have made in the past because they haven't adapted.
Well, it's a little bit like Scarface, which I love. They're told what they shouldn't be doing. They're told what the rules are, and they all fucking break them. Like Paulie says, don't do drugs. Sadly, at the time of recording, sadly, Paul Sorvino passed away yesterday. We'd like to dedicate this podcast to him. I probably should have mentioned that at the start, but he's an incredible actor. I love him in The Rocketeer, The Stuff. Yeah. He's in Nixon, a few other things like The Cooler, and he's in a ton of stuff. But those are the ones you've probably seen him in, and including this. And he was great. And again, it's the zeitgeist curse, as I want to call it, because every time I say I'm doing a podcast, somebody either dies, something either very negative happens, or something very positive happens, and there's no middle ground. So this is a really sad thing to have. And Fred Ward passed away before the Cast a Deadly Spell podcast. So it's really shit. And we've lost. Was it Ray Liotta this year as well?
Yeah, we lost Ray Liotta. We've lost quite a few. As awful as it is.
So many guys. Yeah. And then, in the last few years, I think there's been a few more, like was it Frank Vincent? Billy Bats?
Yeah, Billy Bats passed away in 2017. A lot of the smaller parts, the smaller characters, they've passed away as well. The ones that you see pop up. The guy from Goodfellas, bloody Sopranos. What was his name? Tony Sirico.
Yeah.
He played minor Tony Stacks in this. You see him get out of the car and whatever.
Yeah, he's got the greased hair at the start, hasn't he?
Yeah. He has a little bit of a fight. Well, it's like a little bit when young Henry's looking out of the window and he sees him, he's just there. Yeah, and then Maury as well. Maury's wigs. Fucking hell, Maury's wigs is hilarious.
Oh god, I love that. Well, I don't know why, but I loved more. I love his character. It's like we need an annoying prick. We need absolutely someone who. He's like a dog with a bone. We can't he's never. And you're like, and then I love that bit where Ray Liotta breaks and he goes, you know what? Go ask him for the money. You see what fucking happens, and he goes, I love you, Ray Liotta. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
This is the thing with the film. I mean, I think we're blitzing through a lot of like sort of stuff here, but
sure, yeah.
One of the greatest things about this film is how good the supporting cast is. How much they sort of add to the story and yet don't take anything away. They're all perfectly well placed characters. I mean, you've got bloody Samuel Jackson in there, in a very small role. You've got all sorts of people just popping up left, right, and centers. Carbone, with the
I love his hair. I don't know what that is. But
yeah.
I love it. It looks like Darth Vader's helmet that's been placed on his head or something.
Yeah, it does. It's like a pilot's helmet, yeah. But it does that introduction, like early on in the film, where you're introduced to a load of these characters, like these little side characters. Some of them you don't see again apart from that minor introduction. But then, like with Frankie Carbone, they've all got their own little individual mannerisms. And Frankie Carbone's got that weird sort of, I say weird. He's got that sort of mannerism where I think he's speaking Italian really fast. You don't really see it. And interesting enough, the other day when I was rewatching it, I put on the subtitles just to see if it came up to say what he was saying, and it never does. So you got these little great moments in the film. I think they've just killed Samuel Jackson's character. Tommy's just killed him, and he goes, well, make that fucking coffee to go. Make the fucking coffee to go. And he turns around and goes, hey, wait. And that's how it sounds. It sounds awful that I'm saying it like that. But that's how it sounded. He goes, oh, wait. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing? Put that fucking coffee pot down. Get the fuck out of here. And he's like, well, why? But his little, the small characters are so well done, so well fleshed out, that when something does happen to them, when Frankie Carbone is found in the meat truck, you go, fucking hell. Not even he gets away with it. Not even he comes out of this fucking okay. And that's the great thing. Like, there are so many interesting characters that just pop up and disappear. Like, I'm going to go get the papers. It just gives you flavor. The flavor's just there of what this world is, where these people live, how they go about their lives, and how dangerous it is. Because like I said, some characters disappear and then you hear about them later on. He got fucking whacked, or he's been in jail for 25 years. I don't want to end up like him when Paul Sorvino is telling Ray Liotta, I ain't going to fucking jail. Stay away from fucking drugs. I ain't going to jail. I'm not being like that guy. I'm not being in there for 25 years. And you're like, fucking hell, we saw him at the start of the film. That's where he's been.
I think this is one of the better films I've seen that really does the world building right.
Yeah.
Like from the get-go, you're in. Like the second that line hits, the music cue hits, you're in. You know, that you're in the world, you're dragged in, not kicking and screaming, but you're pulled in a good way, in a welcoming way. But then also it's like, look at this and look at that and look at all these horrible things. Yeah. But it's much like in the characters in the film, you're kind of seduced by the world. You're seduced by the mafia itself, like Bracco and like Liotta. Yeah. Their monologue is saying that, it didn't bother me, or it was exciting, it turned me on, Yeah. I want all this stuff. I got all this stuff. I could get bread without queuing, all this other stuff, all these little things that kind of like, oh yeah, actually that might be quite tempting, or that might be quite a good thing to have, or maybe I should join the mob. There's all this stuff, and I love the juxtaposition between the most loving people. These guys absolutely love each other. There's a brotherhood, they're kissing and hugging constantly. It's like, yeah, I love you. But then the sharp juxtaposition to the extreme intense fucking violence
Yeah.
and dark matter in this stuff. Like, one of my favorite scenes in the whole film is with Scorsese's mum at the dinner table.
Yeah. Fucking superb scene.
Excellent scene. The fact that they're just acting like normal guys, having dinner with a mum, talking, joking, laughing.
I get a girl every night, man.
There's so much chemistry with everybody. I think Scorsese's mum is a very credible actor. I think she was great.
Yeah.
I think she was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't want to sort of. I'm pretty sure, but I'm like 90% sure that scene, the majority of that scene, was sort of fully improvised as well. They just went for it. But with that in mind, it's even better. If that was truly the case, it's even better because the fucking it's totally natural, which is terrifying at the same time. Like, it's absolutely terrifying. But that scene's brilliant. I fucking love it because they're just having pasta all the while. They're like, oh, we're gonna take this knife, Mark, because the deer's what's it fucking called, the paw, the hoof. Yeah, the hoof. Yeah, it's got caught in the grill and we gotta fucking get it out. And fucking meanwhile, Billy Batts is in the boot trying to fucking get out. It's fucking great.
And I love that shot where it transitions. They're all laughing. They're like, because again, like you start kind of liking them again. You're like, they're all right. They're not that bad. But it's like having a dickhead friend, like yourself.
Hey, you son of a bitch!
You're breaking your balls. I'm breaking your balls.
Motherfucker.
So it's like, you're like, they're not great around certain people or around in certain areas, but then you get them on your own, you're like, you know what, they're not that bad, they're fine. I'm only kidding, Andy. I'm talking about like real dickhead friends. I've had proper dickhead friends,
like they
yeah, sure.
Just to be like, before we move on, like, again, one of my favorite moments in this film, which I've had many jokes with, is when she gets that painting out and it's got the two dogs on it, and the guys there, whoever's in charge of the boat thing on this painting, hey, look at this painting. This is a nice painting. One dog's going one way, one dog's going the other way, and this guy's like, what do you want from me? I fucking love it. I love it. Obviously, I don't know why. I absolutely love it. And then they go, hey, doesn't he look like somebody we know? Oh, fucking hell, fucking...
Without the beard, yeah, and they're laughing about it, and Henry's being shy, Henry Hill's being shy and stuff. I thought I just, out of all the scenes, because again, unfortunately, because I've left this so late, I have seen a lot of these scenes, a lot of the most famous, why am I? Or they've been parodied in Simpsons or whatever the fuck, and that's kind of that's my own fault, and I accepted that. I was like, okay, this is the scene everyone talks about, or this is the scene that this happened. So I knew about the shoe shine, I knew about the am I funny, I knew about the because I had seen this again. Some of these I've seen in bits and bats, if you will, and just kind of sort of piece them together, or I'm like, I've seen the end, but not really the start, not all the way through. So I'm allowing that within this format, but. It's one of I can't even remember what I was talking about now. Totally.
The painting.
One
dog's going one way, one dog's going the other way.
Yeah,
this guy's like, what do you want from me?
And because I hadn't seen that scene, that's why I enjoyed it so much, because it was totally fresh to me, totally new. Yeah, the Am I Funny scene's great. Yeah, the shoe shine scene is fantastic. Yeah. But I hadn't seen this scene, and just the way that they go into that raucous, evil laughter, and they're like, and the mum's laughing as well. She's like, I don't know what I'm laughing at. Everyone's having a good time. We're all laughing, and then they're like, and then it's just, you see the trunk moving and stuff. They're just that like, oh, remember this? It's a bit like Blue Velvet. It's like, remember this seedy world, by the way. Yeah. Remember this really horrible world away from everything. You've got this nice little, what does Blade say? This candy coated topping of a world. Yeah. And then you get into the real like shitstorm of it. Yeah. But yeah, I thought especially that scene was just a standout for me, really. Just all of it. Like you said, if it's improvised, I know I was looking up some of the stuff. I've not gone into too much trivia, but you can look it up yourself. Most people probably know it. I'm not going to bother doing that. But yeah, it was like, I think De Niro contacted somebody who knew Conway and said, how would he pour ketchup? Like, he got that far into character. Like, I'm not a fan of method acting, but as long as you're not an absolute dickhead with it, like some people we know, and a lot of actors have come out recently saying, yeah, it's really arrogant and stupid.
It has to service the film properly.
Yeah.
If it becomes greater than the sum of the film, then what's the fucking point?
Exactly. And I think you also have to know what you're in.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Know what you're in.
Yeah, know what your audience is as well.
Absolutely. If you're going for an Oscar, if you think it's going to be a award-winning film, then fair play. You know, if you're getting paid enough and people don't have to be around you all the time, you can do all that shit, then fine. But if I turned up on stage, you know, if I turned up to Westernize being a racist cowboy, which was the play you came to see me in, I'd be murdered. I'd be bloody murdered for the kind of things I would have to say.
Be dragged outside.
Exactly, and fair play, because I would, you know, as somebody myself, I'm like, yeah, racism is very bad. So if I went around saying racial slurs, I deserve to get beaten up. But yeah, like that's my opinion. But yes, I'm going to go back to some of the more common criticisms, see what you have to say about that.
Yes.
So we talked about pacing, we talked about Liotta's laugh. People just found Joe Pesci annoying in general as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. Because it's part of the character, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think the character's unhinged. He's unhinged. So how can he be annoying if you're unsure of who he really is?
In a way, if he is annoying you, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I think probably so, yeah.
Because he is meant to be that irritating dickhead that's angry and shitty and
and fucks things up and makes mistakes and ultimately pays for them. Yeah.
One of my favorite lines in the whole film was, "I didn't want to get blood on your floor."
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Made me piss.
It's Ray Liotta's reaction. Well, he kind of just sort of looked at him and goes, "That's what you're worried about right now." You just
didn't want to get blood on your floor.
Made guy, and you're worried about getting fucking blood on my fucking wood floor.
I also loved when Sorvino just I read that this was improvised as well. He just slaps Ray Liotta out of the blue. Just gives him a little it's not a hard one, but it's enough to make him go, what the fuck?
Which is exactly Ray Liotta's reaction. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I fucking love that. Joe Pesci in general. We talked about pacing. What else was there? Length, which we talked about. I will say I'm not necessarily a fan of massively long films, but if they grab me and they keep my attention, I'm in. So I have to say that I think Goodfellas, like I watched an hour and a half film the other day. I was looking at my phone, I was doing this, I was doing that, and it felt longer than Goodfellas was. So I'll give that to Goodfellas.
Length, I think, is giggity for a start. Length is subjective, isn't it? Really, because it's dependent on the film itself. Goodfellas doesn't feel half as long to me as watching sort of Thor: Love and Thunder was, or anything really, any really sort of bad 90-minute movie that you just like, please end. I watched The Grey Man recent release on Netflix. That dragged and it was painful. Yeah, length is subjective, I think, depending on what you're viewing, how you're reacting to the film. If you're not reacting, if you're not enjoying it, then it's going to feel longer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah. And like we said earlier on, like some of Scorsese's films, they do drag on towards like the sort of the final, fifth of a film. But within this one, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's overtly long. I don't think it sort of overstays its welcome either, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. They probably could have ended it at about 2 hours, I think. I'll get into the ending a little bit because I've got a few things to say about the ending as well, like you've already said, but I want to go over that. Another problem, I think, is more from kind of, again, a lot of these reviews are fairly recent. So one of the...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so from what I could tell, they were fairly recent, most of them. And it was the misogyny and the racism and the kind of toxic masculinity of stuff, which is I think it's a fair criticism, but I think also...
It is, but when's the film set?
Exactly. So that's the thing I said about Cast a Deadly Spell, the Fred Ward film.
Yeah.
There is some really problematic stuff in that, but then I'm also like, well, it's a unique world, and it's in the 40s, you know, late 40s.
They like, in terms of the misogyny, they even talk about it. Lorraine Bracco has that monologue where she sat with wives, that narration monologue where she's saying they don't look good. They all look used and sort of abused and, you know, disheveled. So it talks about it, you know, it acknowledges sort of like the women in these men's lives as being superfluous objects in favor of, you know,
the gumar.
Them having gumars and you know, flings with other women. There's sequences in there where Lorraine Bracco is trying to sort of out these women, and she's quite a strong character in this film as well. So that's what surprised me going in, because I'd read some of these comments before watching, and I was like, okay, so we're going to maybe see a woman get slapped around, possibly. There's probably going to be a rape in it at some point, maybe. Maybe women getting killed and stuff, which is in the film, and really disgusting kind of behavior. But it wasn't, like, again, because I've had that idea going in, and I watched it, I was like, actually, it's not as bad as I expected it to be, that side of it. And again, obviously, there's a few slurs thrown around and, what have you. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It swings both ways as well, doesn't it? Like, the characters call themselves slurs, like the Irish hoodlum, or the Irish bum, that guinea. They have those slurs come from, they're intertwined with all, especially like all three of the central characters. They give each other grief based on where they're from and why they can't be, why they can't get made or anything, Well,
I was going to say, because they've got Irish blood.
Yeah,
they can't fully be made into made men, so they can't be protected like Billy Bats or people like that, because they're not full-blooded Italian. They can't trace the roots. Unfortunately, I think it's a sign of the times we are in now that we're a bit more aware of this sort of thing and a bit more critical of it.
Yeah, but my argument is it's context. It's context. When this film was based, when it was set, not when it was made.
No.
When it was set. So the timing when the film was set, because we can't sugarcoat everything. You wouldn't do a World War II film and not show people getting killed on the Battle of Normandy. You don't do Saving Private Ryan and then glorify the Normandy landings, because it's not factually correct. It's not fair to those that suffer, or did suffer through any of things. And it's the same with sort of like, sort of racial sort of slurs. Well, we have to sort of acknowledge it, and then we sort of grow from that, don't we? That's my sort of thing. It's like you like highlight exactly what it was like, and then say this is why we evolve.
Yeah, that's why we change.
Yeah, exactly.
Look where we are now. Look how much better we treat people of color, of people in the LGBT community. Exactly. And so on. Another reason why I didn't come to this for a while, I think, is when I was young, a lot of dickheads liked these films for the wrong reasons. So there was a lot of like, obviously we played like GTA. For example, Vice City is my favorite Grand Theft Auto game, starring Ray Liotta, inspired by Scarface. Yeah. So it's all there, and like my music tastes kind of haven't changed from that game. It's quite influential on me, that game. I played it all the time, and that kind of got me into that. But because these kind of dickheads are like, lots of violence and blood, and it's really, really good, and I'm like, I like that, but I like it within something else. I'm more of a genre guy, and like a real life mob story isn't necessarily what I'm going to go for that. I'm probably going to go to a horror film or something for that kind of buzz. I mean, in the 90s as well, like there was a glamorization of mobsters and gangsters, and all these rappers, loving Scarface. But all these people seem to miss the fucking point of the films.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I think it's like people watching, fucking hell, people watching Fast and Furious and going, oh, that means I can just drive cars really fast now. What? No.
There are laws.
That's not a reason to act like a fucking knobhead, because they're doing it in that film. That's just it. A lot of these people that jump on something, they sort of either miss the point entirely, like you said, or they just got screw looses anyway to begin with. So whatever.
but that's what I love about it, though. I like that I like that it's not like, I think sometimes that it's nice where you have a film that kind of upsets your expectations.
Yeah.
But also I like a film that I'm like, things are going to end badly. And I want them to, because these people are not good people.
Absolutely. And I enjoy those kind of films as well, where people do get their comeuppance, and rightly so, and justifiably so. And like you said, it's all about context, isn't it?
The racist.
I don't know why you glamorize like Scarface. Scarface, he's the worst kind of person in the world. Like, I don't understand why you want to be that person.
They did.
What, you want to get killed by 100 armed guys? All right then.
Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, that's right. Do you want a wife with a polluted womb? Go for it.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
But yeah, like it happened. I remember buying the Scarface DVD and all the features that were on it. One of the features were just loads of rappers talking about how much they loved Scarface, thought it was really good, inspired a lot of songs, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, are you missing the irony? Are you all of you missing the irony? Yeah. I like Scarface. I appreciate Scarface. I like the story. I think there's good acting in it. I think it's fun. I think it's great 80s excess. But I know that I don't want to be Scarface at the end of it.
There's a fundamental flaw to his character.
Anyway.
The fact that he gets murdered after murdering plenty of other people.
But they're going, what a way to go, though. What a way to go. Brilliant.
Well, yeah, fine. Sure, okay.
He had a tiger, though. He had a tiger. I want a tiger.
Yeah, all right.
He was going to do jail time. He had a death squad after him. I want all those things.
Why? Why? What's wrong with you?
He got shot. Yeah, I know. I want that. I want all of that.
Yeah.
So here's one of my criticisms with the film. Here's one of mine. There's not. I'll be honest. There is not many, but I'm gonna say this.
Interesting.
As much as I like the world building, and as much as I like the narration, I think the first 40 minutes to an hour is a little too reliant on that narration. I feel like there's. Because we get to the kind of middle section of the film and it almost disappears a little bit, the voiceover. Yeah. There's little dribs and drabs of it. It's not consistent, is my thing. And then it comes back full-fledged at the end to end the story. And obviously it's based on a book and it's told by the guy who did it. But I think there might have been a better way of, again, showing and not telling. Again, I don't necessarily hate it. I just thought... And then it changed, and then the narrator changed to Lorraine Bracco's character, and I was a bit like, "What the fuck? Where am I going now? What's happening?" And I was like, "Who's the perspective? What are we talking about?" But again, I just felt like maybe have it for a little bit, then a scene. Have it for a little bit, then a scene. Like if you look at the Batman, that was a fairly consistent narration throughout. There wasn't like a long chunks of it without narration. But with this, it was like this is my life, gangsters, this, all these guys doing these things. He did that and he did that. This was his name and that was this name. And there's a lot of kind of it's a lot of exposition for I know you're not a fan of exposition when it's dumped on you. It's done in an entertaining way. Don't get me wrong. I think Ray Liotta's voiceover work is fucking some of the best voiceover work I've ever heard. Yeah, but there was a lot of it, and that was one of my issues with the beginning. I was like, okay, yeah, can we get to the thing? Like, it started really strong, and then we're just like narration for another 40 minutes. I'm like, right, I need to let's get moving. That was one of my criticisms. I don't know what you say to that, but
I think just going back to, you said we're brought into this world rather sort of like it's a shocking world, and yet we have this hand holding through it, don't we? Which is what happens. This is like what the narration is for me. I think it's a case of like, come with me, let me show you. Yeah. Let me show you this world. Guiding you. Yeah, rather than just throwing you in amidst all this chaos. Let me show you how I got to this point. Yeah, the narration cuts over most of his young life, doesn't it? Up until we get that first sort of glimpse of him and Tommy as adults.
I don't think the young Ray Liotta says 3 lines.
Yeah, it's all over. It's all jobbed over, isn't it, by Ray Liotta's narration. I think it's done mainly sort of to impact, give you a greater impact of the more sort of heavy hitting elements. So, like the narration comes to a complete abrupt end when young Henry's dad gets that letter from school, and you get that really fucking intense really sharp. It says you've not been to school in months. In months, and it fucking bang straight away, and you get fucking, heavy hitting. So it kind of like jolts you out of this lovely sort of comforting sort of river ride of Ray Liotta's voice.
Well, it's that seduction again, isn't it? That they're seducing you with this world, and maybe you do have a point.
Ray Liotta sort of glamorizing it in his narration, so he's adding to that glamorization. Yet when the narration cuts out, we see the hard reality. We see that it's not all fucking fun and games. We see that it's not all nicey. Like you say, I got to wear these nice suits. I was getting lots of money. And the next thing is fucking dad's beating the shit out of him. It's him with that fucking belt. And it's proper, like, it's loud. That scene is loud. Because it's like Ray Liotta's sort of narration is, it's not monotone, but it's a very steady sort of volume, isn't it? Yeah. You're like, okay, we're coasting along, we're on this river, and then bam, it's fucking, go back to school, you're gonna be a fucking bum. And then his mum's screaming in the background. And yeah, it pauses and then it goes back again.
Yeah. I think you might be right. I think in a way you've got to build that world, because by the end of it, that world is torn apart.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you've got to have it come together. And yeah, I just think it got to a point where it felt intrusive.
Yeah.
It feels.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. But I think it is for me, it's Henry Hill's sort of like him not being able to come out of that world. He's telling you this fairy tale. It's the fairy tale story, and yet us as the audience, when we're watching the visuals of it, we're like, this is not a fairy tale. You're all gonna fucking suffer. And we see it. Even in the early moments of the film, when Tommy, there's voiceover before Tommy goes into the fucking, the clown, my clown, my fucking amuse you, and then it's deadly silent apart from what he's saying. It is, for me, the narration is the constant sort of inability for him and Lorraine Bracco's character to sort of see the reality of their situation. They're still stuck, even though they're giving us sort of like in past tense. They're actually telling us the story as they're living it, which is weird. It's really weird setup. They are telling it as like a past tense story, but they're still experiencing it as we sort of experience it. It's really weird. And it's that sort of fairy tale. They're still stuck in that fairy tale notion, even though their lives are fucked.
It's like they're reminiscing about these are the good times, and they were like, not really the good times, but they were the best of times at that point that we could have. So I do appreciate it. It's not, again, I don't think it's perfect for me. Again, I don't think it's consistent all the way through. I think the middle has there's almost no narration in the center of the film. Yeah. And then it comes back.
I think that's sort of where we see where the fucking change happens. We see where it all starts to fall apart, because we're built up from the early moments. We're built up to this, this massive high. Everything's going great, and then fucking Billy Bats happens, and that's where it breaks. That's where it starts to crumble away and starts to fall apart. And then you got the Lufthansa heist, and everybody's getting fucking murdered. That's where the threads start falling apart, and that's where the voiceovers come back in, because they're like, I need to tell you about this because this is where it all started to go fucking weird. Yeah. We're trying to piece it together, but fucking hell. It's not like when it was perfect is when nobody said, when there's no fairy tale, because the fairy tale is existing in real time at that point. From afterwards and from before is when they're building the fairy tale and telling you how the fairy tale should have continued.
I think the best part of this film, the best parts are where it's the juxtaposition and the irony. Yeah. Like, those for me just stuck out, and I'm just like, this is fantastic. This kind of stuff is great. But what I loved is I actually really enjoyed, obviously a lot of people are going to look at this film and look at the violent scenes, look at the shootings, the stabbings, the killings. I actually enjoyed a lot of the quiet, more sensitive moments. Yeah. I loved the scene between Paulie and Ray Liotta where he comes out of jail.
Yeah, it's fucking great scene.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah. And Paulie's like, I told you, don't do it. I told what else do you want me to do? I told you. He's like, you got to help me. I was like, and he's even though he's going to probably whack him or get someone to whack him, he still gives him some money. And he's like, and Ray Liotta cries, like straight away, bam, tears, and he's like, that won't even cover the funeral. Yeah,
I've got to turn my back on you. It's fucking heartbreaking, lad. I've got to turn my back on you.
I'll be honest.
He's been there since the fucking beginning. He's supported him in every fucking bench.
He's the nicest gangster, isn't he?
Yeah, fucking Big Paulie is the nicest fucking gangster there ever is. Oh, fucking hell. But that's why it makes like the ending so impactful, because you're like, fucking hell, Henry Hill's fucking betrayed fucking Paulie. He's fucking the nicest gangster. He's probably very, very merciless. Well, like you said at the start, he never moves quick, so he doesn't have to move quick for anybody. But you can believe it. You can believe the power in the presence, even up until that moment. But you see, like, even in that moment, when he's giving him that money, Paulie's fucking broken himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust anyone anymore. Yeah.
And I also really loved where Tommy announces he's going to get made, and everybody's so fucking happy for him.
Yeah.
De Niro, it's the most kind of like movement and action you get out of De Niro when he's not killing anybody.
Yeah.
And he's so happy, he's so pleased. He's like, yeah, we're practically made as well. This is a big thing for us. You know, these us guys, us Goodfellas, we've done it. We've got there. And then when they find out, when he gets on the phone and he finds out that Tommy's dead, and he just fucking breaks down. And again, it's that acting, like that's, you know, like when acting, when you're trying to act drunk, and you don't actually act drunk, you act like you're sober while being drunk. That's how you act drunk. You're like, I'm fine, I'm all right, no, I'm good, you know, that sort of thing. And he's doing that, but he's like, you know, he's not just crying, he's trying not to cry. That's how it's coming across. And I thought it was great. And it really, and Ray Liotta comes out and he's just fucking in bits as well, but he just doesn't know how to react. He's just like, and this guy is like stone. De Niro's character's like stone all the way through, like granite. And this one fucking moment.
That phone conversation is fucking genius as well. It's like, so what happened? Well, we ran into a bit of a problem, and there's nothing we could do. Like, it's just that straight away. No explanation needed. Like, obviously we see what happens in Tommy, but for De Niro's character, he knows the lingo, he knows the language, he knows straight away. He knows
what's being said without it being said.
He's gone, and there's nothing we could do. And they know why as well. It's like, fucking hell, shit.
It was just awful. I also really quite like the scene where Lorraine Bracco's character, or Mrs. Hill, whatever you want to call her, she goes to not Tommy. God, what's his name? The Irishman. What's his name? Conway. De Niro's character.
Jimmy.
That one.
Jimmy Conway.
Jimmy Conway. That's it. Jimmy Conway. Fucking hell. To be fair, there's a lot of fucking Italian names in this.
There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of Paulies.
Ponies.
A lot of pizza. A lot of Peters. Peter Jr. Paulie Jr. Mary.
What do you fucking want from me? What do you fucking
Mary?
But that scene where he's like, "Oh yeah, some dresses down there. Just go pick them up."
Yeah,
and just the fucking razor tension.
You can feel it, can't you? You can just fucking feel it, and you're not even sure. You're left in that sort of ambiguous thing because there's people in there clearly moving some stuff around, and it's almost too open. Like, is he really going to get a whacked in there on the street? Is he that desperate? And you go, well, hang on a fucking minute. He is that desperate. Holy shit. But then at the same time, you're still like, oh, fuck. Oh, why would he do it? I don't know.
He's been killing people left, right, and center after the Lufthansa job.
Yeah.
I love as well, what I really loved as well, is that there's a big deal about the Lufthansa heist and all this sort of stuff and all this. And obviously, like, I always think, like, everything's a heist movie. But literally, it's the most fucking boring heist ever.
Yeah.
It's like some guy gives them a key and they go in and they take all the money.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what's great about it, because it's like, it's in those days it was simple. Doing that was simple. Like when they steal that guy's truck, like he parks up and goes into the diner, and then he comes back out and goes back in and goes, two guys just stole my truck. You know, it's just simple. They just go in and go, ta-ra.
But he's in on it, that guy, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But that's how simple it was. There's no such thing as a heist movie sort of scenario kind of thing, is it? Because it's literally, security didn't exist in the same vein it does now. So they could just walk in and go, here's the fucking key. An inside man just with one measly ass fucking key. That's what's brilliant.
I absolutely love that, because I was like, oh, they're talking this up. It'll be really intricate. They'll be like bloody.
Yeah, and we don't see fucking anything of it.
it's like you see less of it than you see of Reservoir Dogs. I think of that bloody heist, and that again, I love that you don't see the heist in that. That's what's the most interesting part of it. That
we
you
just
don't
see the aftermath, don't we? And
yeah,
see-
you see the aftermath.
Yeah.
Everyone's describing it and stuff, and yeah, I just thought that was a nice little bait and switch there.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed. But yeah,
And the only thing we really hear about sort of like what happens is when Ray Liotta's in the shower. When that guy on the radio is describing it, that's the most you hear about the job itself. Like some people saying it's 4 million, 5 million, 7 million. And he's like, fucking hell.
I also love that he wasn't in on it. Like he wasn't there. I thought that was so.
He just was one of the planners, and then
he was just like, did it. I was like, oh my god, it happened. We did it. It's just like it's like an afterthought for him. It's like I planned it. Yeah, it's whatever. I'm just going to go over just quickly a few more of the criticisms I found online as well. I'll blitz through them and I'll just see what you have to say about all of those. Letting the actors improvise too much.
No.
Repetitive dialogue.
What?
It's like breaking my balls, I think is the main thing they took away from. But I think that's just part. I think that's well. I mean,
just part of the culture of the characters.
I also think our tutor Amy Rome used to say repetition is like the key to understanding, or whatever she used to say about it. She was like, it solidifies the idea. I think she used to say or something. So she always said was repetition is always good. Less lines to remember that way as well.
I don't think there's anything too overly repetitive, is there? Apart from breaking my balls. Oh, you doing? I'm breaking your balls.
I think it's just the phrase and the culture and the language and I think that I watched a film called Strange Brew, which has these two like comedic Canadians in, and they're like, hey, they say A at the end of everything because it's like a stereo. They're playing up to the stereotype, like you were saying with Carbone. He's playing up to the stereotype that people, he's making fun of the stereotype that people think he is as an Italian man. He's playing on that, making a joke of it, and I think that's exactly kind of what they're doing it in there. So I don't agree with all these criticisms, I'll be honest, but I've just picked them out because of all of them. Unlikable characters, well, don't worry about it.
Christ, if you don't have unlikable characters in the film, you just be watching fucking Teletubbies all the fucking time. Jesus Christ.
You're not meant to really relate to them that well, and most of them end up dead or in jail.
If you are relating to them in any way, fucking hell, you need to get your head examined. You're not supposed to really like villains, to be fair, are you?
No.
You're supposed to be able to sort of see their perspective, but it doesn't necessarily mean you like them. Like you can see Thanos' perspective, but you don't like him.
No.
Like you like Iron Man.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I think the end of the day, they don't go on. Nobody lives happily ever after, do they?
No, exactly. They like we said earlier on, they all get their comeuppance. They're all punished for their unlikable deeds in the film. Okay.
The last one I'll go into because it's kind of a criticism I share. Paulie-Structured. Yeah.
Oh, fucking! I thought you meant Paulie, as in Paulie. Fucking hell. We've been talking about that many Paulies.
He's tipping over. He's like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. He's like, I'm Paulie-Structured. Ah.
Fucking hell. Oh, Christ.
Paulie as in bad, as in Paul.
No, I don't think so.
No?
Wow, it's quite a linear story, isn't it?
Yeah, fairly.
It doesn't. The only time we go back and forth really is from the beginning, isn't it? We see midway through the film at the start,
and then we come back to it.
Yeah, and then
circle back round.
I mean, like you said, the jumps in time, they're not really. They fit where you would want them to fit the story.
But you don't. The good thing about those is you don't notice them. They're not making it like they don't go 1972 and put a number on the fucking screen or anything. It's a seamless transition because these lives are changing in real time. The fashions are changing. The world is changing. And again, really, the only key to that is obviously the fashion and the music that's playing.
Yeah.
So, I don't agree with that one either. But the final one I kind of agree with. Weirdly edited and rushed ending, breaking the fourth wall. So I think you were talking about the dip in kind of quality towards the end after Tommy's gone and
it's like taking the kettle off the boil, isn't it? Before it's clicked. And you sort of like go, oh, okay.
Almost. And I do think that really bad day he has, Henry Hill, You know, he's getting coked up. He's going everywhere. He's got all these jobs to do. He's stressing out. He's freaking out. He's getting annoyed. He thinks he's getting paranoid that the coppers are chasing him. He's like, got to go to my woman. Got to do this. Got to hide the guns. Got to sell these silencers and all this sort of stuff. I like that as a section, but I don't think it necessarily fits into the film very well because we've had this long transition into, you know, this, again, we were saying throughout 30 years, I think they say on the poster or something like that, of gangster related mafia crime, whatever. And then we get a day, very depicted, very, very quick, very bitty, very stressful, very frenetic, very rushed.
Yeah.
And then I also think the helicopter shouldn't have been like the coppers or the DEA or whoever it was. I think that should have been paranoia because that kind of just, I kind of was like, well, he was right. Paranoid people on drugs shouldn't really be necessarily right. So I was like, okay. But if he still got caught anyway, it was like, oh, I was just following you around in a car all the time and you were watching this helicopter. Yeah. Like it was something like that. I thought that might have been better. And then we get into the court case. He's giving himself up. He's giving everybody up. He's breaking his word. You know, he's told not to ever rat on your friends, and he's told to never keep your mouth shut, basically. Which I quite like that line because it's basically just the same thing twice. It's like never rat on your friends, but keep your mouth and also keep your mouth shut. But I quite enjoy that it's just repetitive. But we get to the court scene, and again we've had this narration all the way through. This well, like I've said, it's here and there, but it's a narrative device we were aware of. You know, he's used it from the beginning, and we've heard his voice. But then during the court case, he just kind of walks out, looks at the camera, and goes, "And it's all over." Yeah. And it kind of threw me for a loop. I went, "What the fuck?" I was like, "What are we trying to say here? What are we trying to say with this moment?" And then not only that, we get him. He stops, he breaks the fourth wall, and then it goes like instantly. So we're not even going to follow through on that idea. And then we go to his, he's living in that shitty house. He's somewhere cold, which he didn't ask for. And he's like, fuck it, I'm a fucking bum now. I'm a fucking bum. Yeah. You know, if there was a shot that was transitioning from the courtroom, he's walking through, he's still talking into where he's going to live, and he gets changed into a dressing gown or something. I thought that might have been a nicer transition or something. Yeah. But then, even weirder, we all of a sudden, right at the end, get a shot of Joe Pesci, as we've not seen him in the film, dressed to the nines like a gangster with a pork pie hat on, and he's shooting towards the camera, and then it just ends. It goes back to Ray Liotta, he smiles, and it ends. And I was like, really? This is how you go out after all this? Like, it was just so disconcerting from everything we've had up until that point. And I was just like, it feels like you just shit the bed on the ending. I don't know what you feel about it, but that's kind of how I felt. I think on the whole, I really like the film. I really like it. I think it is very, very good. It's a 4-star film. I don't think it's a perfect film, but I think I can see why people like it. I think if I'd seen it as young as you had, it would have been a huge influence on me, like it's clearly been on you. Yeah. But I think because I'm here, because I've have these opinions and stuff, and times have changed and things have moved on. But I think if I'd seen that when I saw it, then I think I would have shared your opinion that it's just brilliant, which it is. I do agree. I don't think it's the best movie I've ever seen, but I didn't think that about The Godfather when I finally saw that either. But I think it is really solid, great performances, great soundtracks, some great filming techniques, great dialogue, memorable lines, like you said, just favorite scene after favorite scene. Yeah. Not even talked about Billy Batts, really.
That's the best scene, isn't it?
It's the pinnacle. Yeah. It's the pinnacle.
I'll just say about the ending. I don't get the ending. I don't understand those final 3 shots. I think I could try and sort of figure out it's the end of the narration. So he's confronting the audience and saying, "I took you on this journey. Here I am when the fairy tale ends." And it wasn't a fairy tale. Here I am in court. I've been talking to you as though I've been taking you on this merry journey, and now it's all over. Like he says, it's all over. It's all come apart. It's all fallen to pieces. But
but then we go back to the narration straight away.
It's weird, isn't it? So it is a bit of a weird sort of ending. Like the Tommy shooting the gun. I think I don't really know what that's supposed to signify. Is that supposed to signify Tommy was the last vestige of what it was to be in this world when he goes? There was nothing else. So it's constantly on his mind. Tommy.
Wouldn't you use a shot of him from the film, like a close-up of him, or a scene with him and Ray Liotta in? Wouldn't you use that instead of this random shot that we've never seen throughout the rest of the film? It's never referenced, never talked about.
Yeah.
It looks like a production. It looks like they're doing something to sell the film. It looks like one of those, like it's like a production thing, and it's just really fucking. I was like,
it's a jarring shot. I'll give you that.
Like the whole section. Like you said, if it was like Bronson, like Tom Hardy's Bronson, because he's constantly breaking the fourth wall in that, and he's performing, and he's doing this weird shit, and again, that's all the way through. That's steady all the way through up until. Like if it was like that and he broke the fourth wall and it's like, it's all like a stage or something, I don't know, whatever the fuck. And he walks out and he's like, yeah, this is my life. This is it. And now and then maybe he walks into some fucking steel bars and he's in prison or wherever, or he walks up to the window where he lives and and there's bars on him or something. I don't fucking know. Whatever. But that, I was just like, I just was like, oh, you were so good. Until 30 seconds before you finish. And you just be like, oh, that'll do. Whatever. Figure it out. You figure it out. I don't know what it means. You figure it out. But,
I think it's literally just a case of like, it's whatever it means to you, I suppose. For me, I think it is just like the book ending of this fairy tale that wasn't a fairy tale. It's just some sad, disheveled former gangster telling a story. And when it gets down to the nitty gritty of where his actual life is, come the end of the film, it's just a fucking mess. And he's just remembering past glories that don't exist. Did they ever really truly exist? I think, well, was he just living on borrowed time the entire time?
Well, I do wonder about the unreliable narrator, because this is Henry Hill saying what his life was.
Yeah.
Do we like, obviously that's in the book and obviously it's based on the book, but do we believe what Henry Hill said about his life, or has he glamorized it himself?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the sort of snitches making books, isn't it? I think the general consensus is that the majority of it is true. The majority of it is the case. And there are real former gangsters in the film. You have to wonder if it was all just fantasy, if it was most of it was made up. Would these former gangsters, very much involved in this world, would they have wanted to be on board with it if it was just a load of shit? So there's elements of truth. There's elements of, clear, creating a cinematic sort of event, I think.
Oh, yeah, they've definitely taken some creative license, which is the same.
They do with everything, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. You've got to make a film, exactly. A life doesn't necessarily equate to a film. So you got to...
Yeah. Like you said, Bronson, there's some cinematic sort of, license taking, isn't there, in that?
Absolutely.
And Bronson apparently loves that film and loved Tom Hardy in the role. So, high praise. You said it before. This film, it's a film of many wonderful scenes for me. Many wonderful scenes. Billy Bats, the sequence of Billy Bats being one of them, and that wonderful. We've not even fucking talked about it, and it's sacrilege if we don't talk about it.
Go on.
The absolutely incredible tracking shot that follows them into the nightclub. Which, when I first saw that scene, when I said this film is sort of like the film that opened my eyes to quality cinematography, staging, set design, the production value, acting in the moment, writing, clever use of camera angles and sound, and just everything. Everything is in that minute and a half tracking shot through the nightclub, from outside right the way through underneath into the seating area where that performance starts. It's a fucking brilliant sequence. It's a brilliant scene, and again, it's a fairy tale dive. We're going into this fairy tale world. Henry's taking, is not yet his wife, but he's taking her through this world, through this maze that he knows how to navigate perfectly. That's what it is for me. He's taking her into this journey, into this wonderland, and we're along for the ride as well, all the way through it.
Quite literally taking her into the underworld.
Yeah. And she's gratefully accepts it. And we do as well. We go in and we're like, this is superb. This is wonderful. I want to be involved in this. I want to see more of this. And then we go through to, Billy Bats later on.
Yeah.
And we see it all fucking falling apart. Like you said, the juxtapositions between beautiful shots, beautiful angles, seeing this this world which is being told to us as being a great world, and then we get this like somebody said, one negative comments was the bad editing. Well, fuck off, because that shot going through the nightclub is one of the best edited shots in the entire history of cinema. And then you go to the fight with Billy Bats, where they're battering the shit out of him. The cuts being made all over the shop, and we don't really see the damage that's being done to him. It's superbly edited. There's two different editing styles in there. One to show the fantasy and the fairy tale, and then one to show the harsh reality, the deadly truth, and how it's all going to fucking fall apart in their hands, quite literally. When Tommy smashes Billy Bats' face in with the gun and it breaks apart, that's the start of their lives breaking. That's when it's fucking coming away. If a solid metal gun breaks in Tommy's hand, his own death knell is signed right there. Signed straight away. And you know it, you can feel it. And he was like, I didn't mean to get blood on your floor. Okay, that's not the most concerning part here. You've just fucking killed a mafia man.
And he's so upset when he says it. It's like, I didn't mean to get blood on your floor.
Yeah. Get more tablecloths. Get more fucking tablecloths.
Get the tablecloth.
I'll go get your fucking shine box. Motherfucker.
I love that bit where the guy's bleeding, the young Henry's wrapping loads of aprons around it, and the guy comes out and like, wasted like 10 aprons on him. What the fuck are you doing?
Look at that fucking toughen this.
Those are good aprons. You wasted.
Some of those early shots are fucking superb, aren't they? The fucking postman. Oh, I love the postman bit. You know this kid? Yeah. You know where he lives? Yeah. Any more fucking letters from that fucking school come to his house, in the fucking oven you go. I love it. I love it. It tickles me every time.
You know what? It's surprisingly funny as well.
It is
surprisingly, and that's what I used to love about The Sopranos. I used to think like I wasn't going to get into The Sopranos because of, again, the reasons that I kind of said for this film as well.
Yeah,
I kind of like Sopranos, and Nathan like sat me down and he was like, "No, just watch it." And it is, I think I need a TV show to be funny as well. Like, no matter what it is, it needs to be a little bit funny for me to get into it. If it's dark, dour, and depressing, I'm probably going to stop watching it at some point. But if you make me laugh, you've kind of got me. And Sopranos used to make me fucking piss so much. And again, I think it's 27 of the actors in this end up in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
It's basically a modern day Goodfellas, isn't it? That's what it is. And James Gandolfini, I always liked from True Romance anyway. I thought he was excellent. And that's how he got Tony Soprano anyway, was that scene. But yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think it's a perfect film, but I think it's very, very strong. But I want to look at some letterboxed reviews. So these are some of the ones that have made me come up with those common criticisms that people have. So I'm just going to bring those up.
It's going to make me very angry.
Possibly.
You've done this on purpose. You cultivated these on purpose, haven't you?
A little bit.
You fuck you.
So, first comment from Salem Aguilar. This is 0.5 star review from April of this year.
All right, I'm going to pause you right. Is it 0.5 star out of what? 5?
5.
Get the fuck. It's not a 0.5 star. In any universe, this is not 0.5 star. Salem, whatever your jobbing name was.
Aguilar.
Your bandage is bigger than your fucking head.
So he says, his comment is, single sentence, not even nearly as good as Nacho Libre.
Oh, he's just a troll, isn't he? This is the thing it's the thing with fucking like
some people.
These review sites, they've become havens for trolls, haven't they? Sadly, they don't carry the same weight. We've mentioned IMDb before. They don't carry the same weight they used to, do they? Unless you're somebody reliable like Jack. Jack, you're not a troll.
No,
you might be. It depends on your opinion on this as well.
Well,
we'll discuss it in due course, won't we?
We are. He's got opinions. We've got listener comments. So I have picked the shorter ones because I didn't want to go on all day about them. Next one is from Nick Hoffman, and this was from last year in November. This is a 2-star review. All the razor-sliced garlic in the world can't make me care about these idiots.
Okay.
This is from Joe.
There's nothing like no critical analysis. It's just all right.
Just trolls. But they gave me some of these gave me a chuckle. This is from Joe Fry, 0.5 star review again. It's a 10 out of 10, but I wanted to piss you off. That's his comment. That's not me. That's his comment.
Class A trial work. Well done.
This one kind of made me laugh. It's half a star, and it's from Boulius. He saw this
Boulius?
in Boulius. Yes, it's from 2019, and he says, "I didn't understand anything because the actors weren't talking loud enough. Ruins the movie."
What? What?
I think he's being sarcastic. I think he means that the actors were being really loud.
Oh, fucking hell.
Here's one from Steve Movie Lover from this year as well. Only the 16th of July he watched this, so quite.
Well.
This one confused me a bit. It's a 1-star review. He says he just made Wolf of Wall Street again.
What?
So didn't he make Goodfellas again with Wolf of Wall Street? Is that what you mean?
Oh, see, this is fucking. It's like, look at when the fucking film's been made. Fucking hell, man. Fucking Jesus Christ.
The next one is from Grimasso 01. And again, this is from July of this year. Joe Pesci gave me herpes.
I have no comment. Dan, I was considering Letterboxd at some point. I don't want to do this anymore.
You don't want to do it because you've read these reviews of Goodfellas. There's some longer ones. Do you want some more like critical analysis?
How long are they?
Like a paragraph or so.
Give me one or two.
Give you one or two. So Jill Benson, 1-star review from 2001. Ever since I was a kid, the only thing I ever wanted was not to have seen Goodfellas. I intensely disliked this movie. It was not fun to watch. I loathe all the characters and I hated the ending. I hate that it was based on a true story and I hate that it was ever made.
Okay. Fair enough.
Here we go. Matt Mamba, 24. This is, again, these are all fairly recent. This is a 1.5-star review. The constant narration didn't work for me in this film. I know that's Scorsese's thing, but this one just ticked me off. It wasn't as if he was substituting telling for showing. It was more like, why are you telling while you are showing? Stop! Scorsese is this is from Connor Fried as well, 2-star review. Scorsese is a master of telling me everything that happens in a voiceover rather than showing me and making the most boring movies of all time. At least this is better than Taco Driver. I don't know if he was trying to say Taxi Driver or he's making fun of it.
That egregious spelling error immediately removes any sort of consideration for your review. Sorry.
Yeah, and he says, and he ends it by going, "I hate you, Martin."
Oh, wow.
Well,
don't fucking bother then. You know what I mean?
Okay. I'll do two more.
Like Lars von Trier films. Ergo, I don't watch them. You know what I mean? If you don't like them, don't watch them.
Exactly. There's a lot of them were like, I don't really like mobster films. Then why are you reviewing it?
Exactly.
That's my thing. Why are you like if you are a connoisseur of something like horror films or whatever, like a specific genre, so that if that is your bag, go and reviews those, and then you will know whether it's good or not based on your other reviews and your other tastes.
If you're reviewing them because you're a film lover and you want to openly sort of have open discourse, and then you come to the conclusion where you go like, yeah, it didn't work for me. I didn't like it because of this, and this. Fine, have that discussion. Yeah. More than willing to open that discussion. But if you actually come out going, I hate you, I hate this director, well, don't fucking watch them then. Give me a solid reason why you don't like it, or just don't watch it, you know.
I'm not a big fan of the musical genre, but there are musicals I like, and there's musicals I loathe. You know, I can like and loathe things within the same genre. It's possible.
Yeah, again, in the same vein, I don't like musicals. They're not my thing, so I don't watch them. And I wouldn't presume to watch them to give an opinion on them because I don't like them. So I won't go into them and go, well, I don't fucking like this because of this, this, and this. You know, I know I'm not going to like it because I can't get invested in them. You know, that's my thing. Whenever I watch one, I go, it's not me. I struggle to get involved in what's happening because they're just singing at me.
It's the same when like religious people pick at movies and stuff, and they go, "Oh, like recently there was a Muslim film that recently from Muslim directors, Muslim creators, and it was a story about Muhammad's daughter, and they depict Muhammad in it, and people at Cineworld cancelled it; they wouldn't show it because there was protests and stuff. But it was like, but did you see the film? Oh, no, I wouldn't see the film. Well, how do you fucking know what it's in or how it's done or how it's presented?
Yeah, what's the context?
If Muslim people are cancelling other Muslims, fucking hell. Like, there's no Muslim films in the cinema ever. That was just one that made it to the cinema. And and it was destroyed, unfortunately, by very conservative Muslim people, unfortunately. And I
much the same way that Passion of the Christ was targeted.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same story, isn't it? And that's always. And they go, oh well, and it's the same with the fucking like lesbian kiss in Buzz Lightyear and stuff, which is barely even a peck.
I've still not seen that. I heard sort of the rigmarole around that is it's negligible.
It's not even a thing. They're not like gay or anything like that. It's literally it's just like they're in a couple. Yeah. They're lesbians. Hi honey. You know. Hi honey. That's it. Yeah. That's literally it. Not even anything. And people are going uproar, and they're like, "Oh, I'll never watch it. I'll never see it." Well, why don't you fucking watch it and then make an assessment? I can't stand people that are like they just hear something from somebody else and just be like, "Oh, that's my opinion now. It has to be my opinion."
Yeah, yeah. And
can't stand that.
It was a very good thing that I saw. I mean, we'll come off on a bit of tangent here, but it kind of fits. So there was a tweet from somebody called Logan Paul. Don't have the fuck.
Yeah, he's a YouTube UFC fighter now.
Right. Okay.
He's joined the WWE as well. I don't know why I know this much about him. Everything I've learned about him, it was against my will.
All right. Well, he made like a couple of tweets about the new film Nope from Jordan Peele. I haven't seen the film yet. I don't know much about it. Obviously, at the time of recording, I don't think it's even out here in the UK yet.
I don't think so.
But yeah, it was just like opinions like that he'd made about the film. Fair enough, fairly justified. If it didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. Fair enough. But then there was somebody reply underneath going, "Well, he's Jordan. This Logan Paul said it's shit, so I'm not going to watch it." Make your own fucking opinion up. Fucking hell. Like when I see reviews for films, whether I'm meant to see them or not, if I stumble across a review and I go, "Oh, it's given a bad review," it's not going to stop me from going and watching the film if I really want to watch it. If the reviews are generally very well, bad across the board, then I might rethink purely based on finances. I'll go, okay, well, I can save the money and wait until it comes on Netflix or Disney Plus.
Sure.
Like with Jurassic World at the minute, we haven't gone and watched the recent Jurassic World because the reviews haven't been great for it. They haven't been too good. So made the conscious decision, let's not bother. Let's wait for it to come on wherever it's going to go. But make those decent judgment calls. Don't just go, "Oh, he said it's shit, so it clearly is." How do you know? This is where the toxicity comes in.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a fanaticism, isn't it? Like if you look at something like The Boys at the moment, like that's like there's like
fucking
people
hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's a brilliant cutting satire. It's got everything I want in it. It's RoboCop. It's violent. It's got the political satire, but it's superheroes as well, and it's a parody of the superhero genre. It's a big fucking melting pot of all the shit I love. And that's why I love that show, and we'll fucking defend it to the hilt. And it's better than the comic, I will say that. And I've read the comic quite at least 3 volumes of the comic I've read. So and that's very rare, I would say that about a adaptation, but I actually think it is a lot better. But yeah,
you having your own opinions and
just like, but I don't want people like when people listen to me, I don't want them to go, "Oh well, Dan didn't like it, so I won't watch it."
Likewise. I'd rather you come and say, "Well, actually, I did like it," and then I can go, "All right, then let's talk about it."
Exactly, like I've done today. I've not gone, "Andy, you are right. This is the greatest film ever made." I've gone, "It's all right. It's pretty good. It's great. It is a very good film.
Yeah.
Is it my favorite film ever?"
Conversely, you said it's not for you. It's not the best film ever made.
Yeah,
I'm not going to turn around and go, "Well, it fucking is, you dickhead." Am I?
Go with you. The whole point of my podcast is to get people watching stuff they probably wouldn't normally watch or haven't heard of, or go out, form your own opinions, do your own thing.
Yeah, and then come back and have a good conversation about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Start your own channel if you want to do that as well. Like do something else, or YouTube or podcasting. More of those opinions in the of from every walk of life. Whoever you are, whatever you do, whoever you're into. Skin color, creed, religion, whatever. Just go and do stuff. Have form your own opinions. Make discussions. Have the discussions. Have the talks. Have the difficult conversations. Have the hard ones. And tackle some. Like I've tackled some difficult films, or some interesting films, or some controversial films, or and a lot of problematic stuff as well. But that's fascinating to me because we can see again how far we've come. But going back to these lovely letterbox reviews, I've got. 3 more very quick, and then we'll get onto the listener comments. So Olivia Simpson, another 2-star review from last year. Any other movie night pick, you could make a drinking game out of the movie. Take a shot every time they say the F word, down a drink every time they say busting my balls, and you'll need a new liver in 20 minutes into the movie. At least the soundtrack is bomb as fuck.
That's such a weird fucking review. I'm not really sure what she's getting at. Like, take any other movie night film.
We're not supposed to make a drinking game out of this, or we are supposed to make a drinking game out of this?
Did you enjoy the drinking game?
No.
What did you do the drinking game? Well, I don't get it.
I was telling Andy as well just before we started that most of these bad reviews, it's one joke. It's like Goodfellas, more like bad fellas.
Okay, now.
Like I scrolled through at least 50 of those.
Jesus Christ.
And those I didn't include, and I've cut out quite a few of these as well. I've not done them all, but I've done most of them. Last two-star review from Karis Savak. Jersey boys with guns and cocaine.
What? It's nowhere near. What? All right. Okay. All right, Karis.
So this is the most offensive of the reviews I found. So are you ready?
Go on then.
You're ready. So this is from The Bad Take Lawyer. So this is a particularly bad take. And this is a two-star review. I cannot stress how much I hate Italians.
What? Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh my fucking Lord.
So bit racist he was.
You need filters on some of these reviews, don't you? Like to filter out just the nonsense dog shit.
Well, I'll remember next time. I'll be like, I've quite enjoyed looking through them and just finding.
It's funny, isn't it? Like
it's a blast.
They're not like critical representations, are they? They're really just like, yeah. It's like I'm not a critic myself. I don't presume to call myself a critic, but I like to think that I think about what I'm going to say before I fucking say it, unless I'm really angry about a film. And then it just becomes a waffling mess like some of those reviews there.
The rage.
Yeah, the rage
pouring
virus.
Out.
Yeah.
The rage virus. Okay, so let's get on to some actual people we care about and
people
treasure
good
their opinions. Yes, absolutely.
Good opinions, regardless.
So our fellow YouTubers and podcasters and listeners. So Max Byrne at Maxi Byrne says, it's a masterpiece of a film. Holds up brilliantly. If you don't like it, I'll be advising you to go get your fucking shine box.
And so you should.
I did like it. I did like it. Is it a masterpiece? Probably not. That's quite a strong opinion, but I think it's excellent. I think it's really, really good, but not perfect.
It's a masterpiece for me, Max. It's a masterpiece for me.
There you go. You and Andy are in the same vein. So John Hammond, so that's at John Hammond 73, says, hands up, never seen it. So you weren't alone, John. I had never seen it, but now I've popped my Goodfellas cherry.
Yeah. Oh, you popped your cherry.
And I would, obviously, we spoke quite a bit if you're listening.
Yeah. Sorry, John, but go get your fucking shine box.
Go get your... that's just the answer for everything. Just go get your fucking shine box. Get your fucking shine box. But yeah, I would recommend it. Speaking as someone who's only just seen it, I would recommend it. Definitely, it's definitely worth seeing. I think you'll get something out of it. Whatever you think. I am Jack's Musings, as we mentioned earlier.
Here he is.
So here he is. This isn't just a good film, fella. It's pure cinema. Filmmaking elevated to an art form. A master craftsman working at the peak of his powers. I still love a good comic book movie, though.
Yeah,
of course.
You can't watch this film sort of like on a fun Friday night, can you? It's not a fun Friday night film.
No.
I watched when I did this little rewatch. It was late on a Thursday night. Once I'd finished, doing other bits and pieces, just like, oh, I'll put it on. It's nice and chill, even though it is hyper violent and all that. It's You can see where you want spectacle. Yeah, you're gonna go for a comic book movie, aren't you? But if you want something that's like this, a bit of quality writing and whatever, this is it. This is it.
it's always good to get out of your comfort zone as well. So if you're not necessarily into mob movies, but you're open to it, you're not like, I hate mob movies, but I'm going to watch this mob movie and I'm going to hate it. As long as you go in with an open mind, you can enjoy whatever.
I would say Goodfellas is probably the most accessible mob movie of all of them, I think.
Yeah.
Purely because it does guide your hand. It takes you into this world. Like we said before, obviously Scarface is all guns and guns blazing and chains.
But yeah, it's just the 80s excess, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just
The excess.
Yeah.
Whereas this is well thought out.
It's real for a start, isn't it? It's based on real events. So there you go. And Scarface is just fucking ludicrous, but that's part of the point of Scarface.
Exactly.
But Paul Meller is also left a comment, and he says, so that's at the Meller Geek, and that was at I Am Jack's Music, if I didn't say that earlier. So at the Meller Geek, it's a very, very good film. I'm not really into mob gangster movies, but this is top quality and should be a great podcast. I have to agree. I think it has been a very good podcast. Indeed. I agree, Paul. We both agree wholeheartedly. And Fuzzy Dunlop, so that's
Fuzzy.
Fuzzy over on YouTube. So he's on Instagram at Fuzzy Dunlop _1. Perennial top 3 movie for me. Seen it dozens of times. Honestly, nothing I dislike about it. And for me, Scorsese's best work, arguably. Yep. Big fan of mob flicks, personally, and not many rival this for me. Great movie. And he's got a clapping hand emoji and a little perfect kind of, I don't know what you call that, a little
the OK symbol.
The OK symbol, yeah.
I guess that's what it is, isn't it?
I guess, or a very, like a really bad hand job or something. I don't know what that is.
That gesture the Italians do. Hey, oh.
Yeah, I should have done that. I should have done the chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
motherfucker.
I will say one of the reviews I remember without having to read it is I waited this whole film to hear them say gabagool, and they didn't. Which made me laugh. That made me laugh. Some of them are funny. Some of them are funny. Some of them are just shit. But Andy, before we finish, is there anything else you want to say about Goodfellas? Because I've got one more thing to do after that, and then we will end.
I just think this is a film that will traverse my entire lifetime. I think it's one of those films that whenever I'm feeling a bit sort of bored, I'll go, you know what? I fancy watching Tommy lose his shit. I fancy, because it is those moments. I come into it looking for those moments, and then I get enveloped in the rest of the film. And with each sort of viewing, it's not that I discover something else, but it's something I enjoy a different part of the film with each sort of viewing. So I'll change my sort of reaction to something. I'll go, oh, fucking hell, I really enjoyed watching that this time. And I'll rewind it and I'll play it again. And it can be some of the most small, mundane scenes that I play back, and I look back and go, fucking hell, it's so well done. Like the coffee pot scene after they've killed Stax in Stax's apartment, Samuel Jackson. Just those little flecks of brilliant character work. What the fuck are you looking at? Make that coffee to go, and he tries to walk out with a coffee pot. What the fuck are you doing? Put the coffee pot down. It just tickles me. Like just those little moments. And I think that's why I love this film so much, because you do have that immense sort of brilliant character work. You've got the brilliant scenes, the violent scenes, you've got the sweeping shots, and then you'll have these really small moments of character. You have these really small moments of reactions, people doing something the way they look, like you said when Paul Sorvino fucking slaps Ray Liotta. It's just like, oh fucking hell, you get those genuine reactions. And this film has, if this is what method acting should be remembered for, I think this is it. It's perfect on so many different levels for me that it's hard to sort of maintain a consistent thought process, because I just think of something else that really makes me laugh or go, fucking hell, it's brilliant, or shocks me even more. For me, it's everything in this film. It's everything.
Yeah. I think also like they've been allowed to improvise quite a lot, and I think that's a good thing as well, because I think they've added a lot of their personality to it. They've added a lot of their style, wit, humor to it, and their lived in, breathed in, like Pesci, that he does the funny guy scene that's based on something he experienced, that like he was Ray Liotta in that scene in his own life. I forgot there was one moment at the start with Paulie again, R.I.P. Paul Sorvino, where the guy from the bar is like, Tommy owes me money, and he's like, he's beating me up. He's doing this, and he's like, what do you want me to do? Kill him? And he's like, yeah, maybe not be a bad idea. And he's like, hey.
He doesn't even say anything; just stares at him. He's like, well, I didn't fucking mean it. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I just remembered as well, Lorraine Bracco, where she finds the gumar. So if you don't know what a gumar is, it's like a side piece, I guess, or a woman on the side sort of thing. Sort of thing. An affair, cheating on your wife. Yeah. And she finds out where she lives, and she's calling the supervisor. Yeah. She's like, you got a whore in your building?
She's pressing all those fucking buttons and everybody else's flats. But that's just it. There's so many little moments. There's like really innocuous moments that just really, really just fucking make my day sometime. And one of those ridiculously innocuous moments is when they burn down the restaurant very early on in the film, they're putting those bits and pieces up on the roof. And Henry's doing one. And you just hear Tommy in the background go, "You're like you're decorating a fucking Christmas tree, you fucking prick. You don't know what you're doing." It's a nothing moment. But fuck me if it doesn't make me laugh every time I hear that line. I don't know why. It's because it's so like, you look like you're decorating a fucking Christmas tree, you fucking prick. You don't know what you're fucking doing. Like, it's perfect. And that's probably just come from nowhere. Yeah. He's probably just said it off camera, trying to put him off. And it's brilliant. It's fucking perfect. I love it.
I like it when they're in the car afterwards and it's just slowly slowly burning up, and they're like, and they start getting into it, and they're like talking about that's it. He's trying to get him to date this other girl, isn't he? So he can.
I'm trying to bang this fucking broad.
You're gonna help me? You're gonna help me bang this broad? And then eventually it's like, oh, it's up in flames. They go, oh shit, we better get away. Scene of the crime. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed this podcast. I think it's going to be an interesting format going forward. I would like you to return, Andy. So obviously it's a bit.
Would you? Would you?
Right,
okay then.
Well, I'm going to give you a few suggestions. So these are films I know you like because you're constantly fucking quoting them for a start, like this one. like
you're say you fucking prick.
No, I'm not. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. You do quote them a lot, but that shows me that you enjoy it, you love it, and you want people to see it. So it might piss you off that I've not seen some of these. So I'm going to list a few here for you. I've made a massive list of a ton of films that I haven't seen, but it's a bit hard to figure this one out because it's almost like I have to come to people and say I haven't seen this film. So it's hard for people to suggest films that I haven't seen or know that they haven't seen. So I've made a list myself of things I've either partly seen, I've avoided, whatever. I've just, for whatever reason, I have not seen it. Number two, I guess possibly could be Casino.
Could be, yeah.
If you wanted to do Casino. I've not seen Heat.
Oh,
I have not seen. Again, you'll see a theme rolling through these as well.
Yeah, I think I've already got a
Italian mobsters and
heavy
Pacino, De Niro, Scorsese. There's a theme. Let's see, what else have I got? Godfather Part 2.
Ooh.
I've not seen Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I've not seen, again, like some, I don't know the quality of them because I've not seen them. So I've not seen Mulholland Drive.
I went into some sort of Mongol.
That reaction. Well, that reaction alone, I think that might be our next one then. Kingdom of Heaven, The Great Escape.
Kingdom of Heaven. Now the director's cut. You have to watch the director's cut, not the fucking theatrical release.
Yeah, I've heard.
Oh, Kingdom of Heaven. What was the next one?
The Great Escape.
Yeah.
Ben-Hur.
Original Ben-Hur.
Yeah, original Ben-Hur.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Spartacus. I know you're a fan of that. The Patriot.
Oh, the one with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
I am a heathen because that film really should be a bag of shit, but I fucking love it. Because Jason Isaacs. Oh, you fucker.
Point Break.
You've never seen Point Break?
I've seen it in bits. I've seen like the ending somewhere in the middle, but I've never sat down and watched it all the way through. I realized this. I was like, because I was thinking about it. I was like, have I actually seen Point Break? And I'm like, I don't think I have. Just sat down and watched it solidly. Like the Goodfellas, I'd seen bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Schindler's List.
Oh, what?
It was on it. They always show it at school, right? But they never show the whole thing. But it was always
they just show you. Yeah.
They show you the non-violent bits or the non-sexy bits, and it would just be like, and the
non-sexy bits.
You know what, like
yeah, okay, yeah.
Nipple.
All right.
I'm not saying it's. I'm turned off by that.
What Schindler's List have you been watching, man? Fucking hell.
Schindler's List of prostitutes. What else? Braveheart, Gladiator, There Will Be Blood.
Oh.
Deliverance. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
The Irishman.
Yeah.
Wall Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few more. There's a few more on there. Like again, if they're award winning, they're long.
Fuck.
There's like that's just kind of to cherry pick for you if you want to do one of them.
Yeah.
But again, if people want to ask me, I've got suggestions. I might send the list out if people want to have a look at the list I've made. There might be a couple that I've duplicated by mistake, but usually if they're big box office and they're like dramatic or melodramatic, it's usually things like that. Or if it's based on a true story, often musicals, romance stuff, Oscar bait as well. There's kind of stuff in there as well. I tend to avoid that sort of stuff as well. But I've got a good mix of stuff, whole bunch of things. Hundreds and hundreds I've made a list of the other day.
Shit.
There's loads. Like I can't go through them all now, but that's just I've cherry picked those just for you, just to give you a taste and to shock you and to anger you to the ones I've not seen.
I think on balance, there'll be 3 that I think we should probably have a look at.
Sure. Which ones?
I think top of the list has to be Schindler's List for me.
Okay.
Because that film broke me when I saw it.
Fucking hell. Okay.
Broke me.
Okay.
Again, I watched it around about the same time that I first watched Goodfellas. So my eyes were opened up to, like I said, my eyes were opened up to artistic cinema.
Filmmaking, yeah.
And I told Mr. Grant that I really like Saving Private Ryan. He said, there's a good film to watch. He didn't tell me anything about it. He said, there's a good film to watch. There's the complete opposite to Saving Private Ryan, made by the same director from a few years before. And it's set World War II. And it's about sort of like everything to do with like, so what happened with the Holocaust? And I was like, okay, fine. And yeah, I cried. I cried. So I think, that needs to be top of the list.
Okay, cool.
But I think we'll have to watch it together, if I'm being quite honest. I don't think we'll be able to watch it like you on your own terms. I think it'd be one that we should sit together and watch.
I'm up for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What were the other 2?
It's going to have to be Mulholland Drive, I think, and then The Patriot.
I mean, I could put it to a Patreon vote again. We could see which one everybody wants to hear you with, because I'm happy with those suggestions.
They're all 3 of them are very different types of films.
Yeah, of course. There's a bit of variety there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that should give people if you people that have never heard me or anything on your podcast, if they're listening now, it should give you a good understanding of how varied my opinions are on films. What I like individually. I don't just go for Oscar baiting or Star Wars or Marvel or anything like that. I'm very open. If a film hits me in the right way doing certain things, then I'll take it on board. And The Patriot is vastly different to Schindler's List, and Schindler's List is vastly different to Mulholland Drive. But something in those films works for me. So yeah.
Well, I'll make a note of that. Make a note of that, guys. Let us know which one you want to hear Andy talk about and hear me talk about, because I'm really interested in all of those. And Andy again is quoting those like mad or reenacting the scenes always. So I'm very interested to see what they're all about. From Andy's made them famous for me. Can I remove Andy's face from all these movies, all these moments? I could see him in Goodfellas. I could see him in Goodfellas a little bit. I could see the Billy Bats and the Pesci and stuff. I could definitely see some of that.
I'm concerned that you could see me in Schindler's List, to be honest. But all right.
I mean,
Patriot, I'll have it because I could be a horrible English.
Well, you've got that part of
Yeah.
history. You're very, like, we're doing a World War II month. We could even tie it into World War II month if you wanted.
Yeah, it's a
We
good
could
show.
do that. You know, it's still. I've not set anything. It's all movable. It's all alterable. But yes, Andy, you are a consummate YouTube professional, and you have your own. You put the audio of your YouTube on podcast streams as well. So tell us a little bit about Angry Andy Reviews and what that is all about, and where people can find you.
Yeah, so you can find Angry Andy Reviews on the old YouTube. I tend to just record when I get time, really. I don't record everything that I see. And my sort of reviews split between sort of collectibles, mainly Star Wars collectibles, like lightsabers and action figures, which I'm bringing a nail to the head on that. Unfortunately, I'm bringing to a close the action figure sort of reviews. But I do talk about TV shows and news as it pops up if it interests me. But my main focus is movie reviews, and you can find me on Twitter as well at Andy_review, and that's my main base of operations. That's my castle.
Your fortress.
Yeah, I tend to just retweet a lot of stuff using memes at the moment, or GIFs, as it were, when some bit of interesting news pops up. And the most popular sort of GIF that I'm using at the minute is Nicolas Cage laughing, because there's been a lot of sort of things mentioned or said recently that I'm just like, no, it's ridiculous. So, yeah. So
that's my favorite one. I think that's my favorite GIF you've been using as well.
Yeah, because it fits on so many levels, like people making stupid comments about films and whatever. I mean, I'm very open to discourse. That's my thing. I'm open to honest discourse as long as you're not trolling me.
A lot like those letterboxed comments.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can find you as well.
Bless you.
So you can find me at Secret Balls on Facebook. It's at Dan_Balls on Twitter, at Spider Dan Secret Balls on Instagram. Review, like, share, comment, subscribe, etc. Don't forget to use the hashtag Prepare for Prattle when you interact with us. If you want to join the Prattalion and to be briefed in full on the Secret Balls, swing over to Prattle World at www.spiderdanandthesecretballs.com. And I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon. I am Jack's Musings, Paul Meller, Max Byrne, Scott Hodgson, Mike Burton, Angry Andy Reviews, and Tonya Todd has just joined the Patreon. So thank you very much, Tonya.
The army is growing.
It's growing larger, more powerful. It was weirdly convenient because she was desperate for this vampire episode, and I just popped it on last night, and she's like, "Oh my god, I've done that right at the best possible time." So yeah, and she said she was really enjoying it, really digging it. And Mike was already listening to it as well. But for everybody else, that will come out in a couple of weeks, and then this will come out a couple of weeks after that. But it's been a really excellent podcast, and I'm looking forward to seeing those other films as well and seeing where we go. And it's nice. It's nice to do it's kind of like The Secret Defenders, but we flipped it a little bit, so it's more popular stuff.
Yeah. It's you experiencing a strange new world.
It is, yeah. So even I'm open to experiencing new things, like everyone should be. And then the discourse that comes after. But yes, this has been great, Andy. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you introduced me to Goodfellas.
Good. Now go get your fucking shine box.